Hi everybody, good morning. My name is Mandie Cran and welcome to my moment of reflection for the week. And this week we're talking about legacies. I've been doing these moments of reflection for about 4 years now, and so often we get stuck in the daily grind of just getting to the next day, the next day, the next day, and actually we keep on doing the same thing all the time. And if we keep on doing the same thing, nothing's going to change. So what I'm really trying to do with these moments of reflection is to help you see the world in a different way, look at a different perspective, because sometimes just that little bit of perspective change can change so much for you. Please share as we go through. Think about somebody who might benefit from the words I'm going to say today, because often it can be just a few little words that people go, yeah, and that will change everything for them. Please feel free to ask questions as well, and I will come back to you after I finish the video. So today we're talking about legacies, and I watched a fascinating documentary recently about the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. They're one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world. It's the only one where they don't know where it is. They call them Babylon, but actually the reality is they're probably somewhere very differently. And so they were researching where they think that the gardens might be. And they had some old stone carvings which showed the gardens and the way the water was transported and so on. And they think it's probably near Mosul in northern Iraq. And they showed how the water was transported 200 miles down the canal. They got all the archaeological evidence of that. You can actually see it on satellite. But for me, what was really, really interesting was the way in which they transported the water from the desert floor up to the top of the Hanging Gardens, 20, 30, 40 feet, so that they could grow trees and plants at a much higher level. Hence the Hanging Gardens, they were sort of on a slope. Because the principle they used to raise the water up that sort of height, this is 3,500 years ago, was based on a date palm. The date palm grows in spirals, and as the leaves die and fall off, you get like this sort of swirl around the trunk. And they used this to create what we would now call an Archimedean screw. It's basically a spiral, you scoop water up at the bottom and it spits it out at the top. And so that was how they've got stone carvings of these, how they transported the water up to grow the plants. What's really interesting is we call this principle an Archimedean screw, but Archimedes wasn't around for at least another 600 years. But what's even more interesting is that the Archimedean screw is still used in many poor parts of the world to get water up from the river or the water reservoir up to irrigate the fields. And it's a fantastic design, incredibly simple, because it's very simple to build, very easy and cheap. There's no working parts to go wrong, and it can be powered by anything like a working animal, mule, whatever, or even a person, with very, very little effort. And for me, that's a true legacy, to design something 3,500 years ago that is just as relevant then, in terms of creating this incredible wonder of the world, as it is now to irrigate the fields of poor parts of the world and irrigate crops, which are essential for human survival. And despite the technological and digital age that we live in, where everything is so complex and moving so fast, there's still the relevancy for something that's 3,500 years old. And I think that's really quite remarkable. Now, we can't all leave legacies, like the Archimedean screw. That's really quite unique. But we can leave a legacy in our own way. And I think it's really important that we do leave something for people to remember us by after we've gone. Now, what might that legacy be? Well, there's a whole raft of things, but to just give you a few ideas, there might be a particular charity that you support and you help them a lot with. It might be starting a business that employs lots of people and obviously it pays them an income, which is really important. It might be writing a beautiful piece of music or writing a book that lasts the test of time. Or it might be starting a business that will carry on paying your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, for generations to come. And you can depart from this world knowing that they're financially secure. So there's all sorts of legacies that you can leave, but I think we need to leave something. So my question for you this week is, what's your legacy going to be? So if we haven't met yet, my name is Mandie Cran. And people come to me when they realise they need to make changes in their life, if they're going to have better health and quality family time in the years ahead. And so often I see people struggling with guilt. Where it might be particularly mums, perhaps a working mum who's always missing out on the school matches because she can't get there because she's at work. Or it might be a stay-at-home mum who feels guilty she can't afford to buy the children the things that she would like to buy them. So for a very limited time now, this does end very shortly, I'm offering a Ditch the Guilt clarity session for mums. And what we'll do during the short session is to look at why you're feeling guilty and what the hidden triggers are, because it might be different from what you think, how we can move forward, and you'll take away an action plan to help you be more guilt-free in the future. Now, this stops on the 15th of January. That's the last time I'm going to be doing this. So if you'd like to book a slot, please go to my Facebook page, the Buzz Group Be More, and click on the Ditch the Guilt session on the left. So I hope you enjoyed my moment of reflection for the week. Next week, I'm going to be talking about new beginnings. So live on my Facebook page, the Buzz Group Be More, at 10 o'clock on Friday next week. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Friday.